Hello world, it is day number 2 of Foundation Fest, and today we're going to check out a powder foundation. This is Kat Von D's Lock-It Powder Foundation. Everybody, Shelly here, and today we are in day number 2 of Foundation Fest, and I'm going to keep it low-key today. We are experiencing our first cold snap of the season here in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, and it's hoodie weather, so I'm going to keep it low-key and chill, and we're just going to go low on the makeup here. So today we're going to check out Kat Von D's Lock-It Powder Foundation. Gosh, I just love her packaging. It is gorgeous. I'm pretty sure I was just holding that upside down. So here we go. Beautiful, beautiful packaging. Here is the compact. Let's see if I can not blind you with the mirror. And it comes with a sponge, which I find these to be useless, but I guess it's okay to keep it in your purse. And this is in the shade Light 42. Now, I wear Light 44 in the Lock-It Foundation liquid form, but all of the reviews I've read have said that the powder runs a shade dark, and they recommend going down a shade to something one shade lighter. So this is Light 42. It's one step down from Light 44. This is a neutral undertone powder for fair skin. The Kat Von D website says there's tons of pigment packed into this silky soft formula, and it's so buildable. Lightly sweep across your face to even things out, then find the areas that need a little extra attention and gently pat or roll the included sponge applicator over them for full coverage control. You should be able to touch this up throughout the day. It never gets a cakey finish and stays smooth and matte no matter what for a full 24 hours. So that is what they've got going on. This powder is vegan, it is cruelty-free, and those are the claims. The box itself indicates also that it is 24-hour wear, transfer-resistant, fragrance-free, oil-free, and for all skin types. That is the key here when you are a dry skin person that wants to wear a powder foundation, because typically powder foundation will just cling to dry patches and make my skin look horrifically dry, like completely, like all of the moisture's been sucked out of my face. So that's the challenge that it's up against. It claims to be for all skin types, so we will see if they are including us dry-skinned gals in the all category. I'm going to prime my face with the IT Cosmetics number 50 Serum Collagen Veil Anti-Aging Primer. This is just to fill in some pores, give me some extra hydration. It's really not touted to extend the wear of foundation, and it doesn't seem to in my experience, but it does lay down a pretty nice base. So I'm going to start with that. We are going to wear this all day long. I will check in a few times, let you know how it's going. In terms of the pricing, this goes for $35 for 0.31 ounces of product. It's a pretty typical size compact. Did I say I love the packaging? I love Kat Von D's packaging. I love Kat Von D. So let's go see how this stuff applies to my face. Let's see if this pale dry skin can handle a powder foundation for a day. First off, I want to zoom you guys in and just kind of show you fresh face what I'm dealing with here. So I've got some sunspots. They're concentrated around this area. They kind of go up into my cheek. There's a line of them along my lower chin, and this is why you need to wear sunscreen every single day, people. I have regrets, serious regrets. These are not easy to get rid of. I'm working on it. I've also got some very dark circles, but I also have some capillaries, little broken veins that are little red marks in a few places. These have just started popping up in the last year or so. Aging is awesome. I've got a new friend. It's kind of starting out on my nose here. Hopefully it will go away before it becomes anything massive. tend to have dry skin right in the center of my brows here. I have crepiness under my lids, under my eyes. They look fairly well hydrated right now, but that's pretty much because I just put my morning moisturizer on, so they will get drier throughout the day. And I've also got larger pores, and they're primarily happening in this area of my cheeks and on my chin. I also have some redness just overall that needs to be covered up. So that's what we've got happening here. So that's where I'm starting. I have a basic need for overall skin tone, evenness, get rid of some redness. I've got a few minor things to cover up, and that's what's going on. That's where we're starting from. So I have already washed and moisturized and applied sunscreen to this face. I have also applied my face primer. The one I'm using for this round of Foundation Fest is the It Cosmetics number 50. This is their Serum Collagen Veil Anti-Aging Primer. That's what's going on my face right now. Now, since I'm going to use a powder foundation, I'm going to do my concealer first. The techniques I'm going to use, I've got an It Cosmetics brush. This is their Airbrush Buffing Foundation number 110 brush. Super soft, meant for powder foundation. I've also got a dry Real Techniques sponge, because on the Kat Von D website they recommend that you dust your face for the initial coverage, and then any place that needs more full coverage you use the sponge that comes in the compact to press and roll foundation onto the spots that need more coverage. And that tiny little thing is really hard to hold, and I don't like it. So I figured a dry sponge would be a similar approach. So that's what I'm going to do. This has not been moistened. This is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge Dry. I've got my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in Fair. So that is what I'm going to start with, because generally you don't want to put liquids on top of powders. So I'm going to put my liquid concealer down first. This is going to be a pretty low-key day, so I'm not going to go too nuts. Forgot my concealer brush. I'm going to be using the Kat Von D Lock-It Edge concealer brush, number 40. I absolutely love this brush. This is one of my favorite purchases of the year. I don't usually put concealer around my nose because it tends to cake up, but this concealer is really blendy. So I'm going to try it just for the heck of it. Now the fun part, the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation in shade Light 42. Now I am Light 44 in the liquid Lock-It Foundation, but I've learned that these powders run a little bit dark. So I actually own Light 46 in this powder as well, and it's way too dark for me. The recommendation from a majority of the reviews out there is that you go one shade lighter than you normally would. So I'm typically Light 44 in the liquid foundation, so I'm going Light 42 with the powder. So I'm just going to take my brush, swirl it in. Now this kicks up a lot of powder, so you get a lot of product on your brush. It kicks up a lot. Use a very light hand. I usually overdo it with these. And I'm going to start by patting it around and then brushing it in. There's one pass. The shade seems nice for me. I think it is just about right. I mean, if anything, it might be the tiniest bit too light, but Nah, I prefer to look lighter than darker anyway, so I think that is working. I am going to go back with the sponge and try and get a little more coverage. They claim this to be buildable to full coverage, and so let's see how it does. They said put down a base and then go in and pat and roll with the sponge. So I'm going to, oh yeah, it picks up just fine. Pat my sponge in here. And pat, and oh, I'm surprised actually that covers some things. It's not as easy to roll this sponge, but wow. I don't have as much on this side going on, but I have a little bit. My chin still looks a little red. Just gonna pat some on my forehead because now I'm kind of excited about this. My nose looks a little bit polka dotty, particularly right over that blemish, which I suppose is to be expected. Let's see if we can cover it a little better. First impression, I am impressed. This has better coverage probably than any powder foundation I've tried. It does not look overly dry. It does not really even look like there's powder sitting on my face. It did cake up around my nose, but that always happens. It's not even caking, it's my nose has perpetual dry patches and it is clinging to those dry patches, which usually just makes it look cakey, but it's really just clinging to dry patches of skin, and I expected that. It probably is exasperated by the fact that I tried to put concealer there. I know better. I should not put concealer around my nose. It just never ever works. So I did. We're gonna live with that. My nose, where I've got that blemish, is actually almost invisible. It's the tiniest bit polka dotty looking right now, but from a conversational distance it's not bad. When you look up close you can see some of the dots settling into my pores, which again might be the fact that I have the concealer underneath. We'll never know, now will we? Let me give you guys a zoom in and get a closer look here. The nose. There's the sunspot area right there. Nose. This is not settling into my forehead lines at all. It's settling the tiniest bit into my smile line creases here. Not terribly bad. It's not accentuating the look of my pores on my cheeks. I think the reason it's accentuating them on my nose is probably due to the concealer. Now, my under eye area is already starting to look a little bit dry. I'm seeing the sort of texture and crepiness that I've got going on under there. that could be, well, that's just really normal for me. By the end of the day, it's going to be a mess. I did not put my hydrating under eye primer on, which does tend to help with this a little bit. So that may help in the future. I may try that next time. But first impression, I'm pretty shocked at the coverage. I'm pretty shocked at how much it does not look like I'm wearing powder. I'm going to say it's off to a good start. I'm going to go put the rest of my makeup on. We are going to call this check-in time 1:23 p.m. and I will be right back. Here we go. Makeup is on. Everything went on easily, wonderfully easily. I did not have any trouble blending anything out in terms of my blush, bronzer. I'm not really using blush. I'm using the Too Faced Snow Bunny, I think it's called, luminous bronzer. I'm kind of using that in place of blush for my sort of no makeup look. This is my go-to when I need to be fast, when I need a no makeup look, using the Gwen Stefani eyeshadow palette. I have a Get Ready With Me video that has a look very similar to this. I will link that video down in the down bar if you want to check that out. I have no lipstick. We are back to the Bliss Stacks. My lips are chapped and dry and cracking, and it's evil and horrible and evil and horrible. I've got Maybelline Brow Drama on my eyebrows. That's my go-to sort of quick take liner today. I pulled out the MAC Super Slick liquid eyeliner, which I really like. It Cosmetics Superhero Mascara up here. Do you ever have those days when you get interrupted in the middle of your first coat of mascara? In this case, Polly was about to knock the skull that used to be up on this shelf off of the shelf in its glass, and I had to jump up and everything went crazy, and then you sit back down to put on the rest of your mascara, and it's like a one-way ticket to Clump City. You just cannot recover from that. So that's what's happening with the lashes today. Thank you, Polly. So that's what I've got on my face. Everything is looking good so far. I don't feel like the powder has faded. I don't know why I expected it to. I feel like it's powder. It's just going to disappear off my face, but it's looking pretty good. It's only barely settling into my lines around my mouth and just the tiniest bit into one of my forehead wrinkles, but I would say overall that is not bad. Little dry patches around my nose, but we're going to deal with that. So I will check in next time in natural lighting, and we will wear this throughout the day, and we will see how it goes. I do not plan to touch up the powder throughout the day, so I just would like to see where it goes and how well it wears throughout the day. So hang in there, I'll be back in a little bit. Hey, we are at about the 3-hour mark. I was afraid if I went home there'd be no natural light left, so here we are outside of CVS, and everything so far looks pretty good. Let me give you a little close-up. No major problems yet. Looks like it might be wearing off a little bit around my nose, but I must admit my nose has been a little bit itchy, and I've been trying not to scratch it, but I probably have been touching it more than I should. So there you have it. 3-hour mark, natural light. Hey guys, it is 6:39 p.m. We are just past the 5-hour mark. I am heading out to dinner, so I am going to touch up my nose just a little bit, but I wanted to show you what everything is looking like before I touch anything. So really the only place that seems to have issues is my nose, and part of that is this blemish. Part of it is I have had a runny nose all day, and I've been trying not to touch it, but it's been, yeah. But everything else looks okay. Tiny bit of dewiness happening. This could just be the lighting, but I'm not wearing any highlighter, so if anything's happening, it's the powder or my skin chemistry. So this is where we're at right now. I'm gonna touch up just a little, and I'll show you what that's like, and then I'll check in again later tonight. There we go, super fast. I just used the Kat Von D powder setting brush, I think it's called. I love this brush too. That fixed just about everything. I'm really liking how this foundation is looking at this point. It still has the issues it had this morning in the sense that around my nose is a little dry patchy, but so far so good. This is looking really amazing for a powder foundation. So I'm gonna go to dinner. I will be back in a bit and I'll get a final check-in. And we're back. Let's see, the time is 10:28 p.m. We have just passed the 9-hour mark with this foundation. Now, I did touch up just a little bit, as you saw, before I went to dinner at 7. So that last check-in was about 3.5 hours ago, almost 4 hours ago. I left it about 6:45. So here's where we are right now. And I would say that no area of my face looks significantly worse than it did at first application, and that makes it sound like it looked bad when I first applied it, which is not the case at all. But the spots on my nose, the little bit of polka dotting that was there when I first applied, that is probably from the concealer, that is still visible. I can see where I must have rubbed off a spot on the bridge of my nose. The chin area is wearing off just a little bit, but I did have lunch and dinner and dessert and drinks all with the foundation on, and I touch my face a lot. I really try not to. It's a bad habit it's a hard habit to break. So I probably was touching my chin, or I rest my face on my hands, and so that is wearing off just a little bit. The smile lines, the foundation has not settled into them any more than it had. So there's a little bit of foundation visible settled, but that was visible this morning when I put it on. The area on this side of my forehead it's starting to look a little bit dry, but I wouldn't say quite cakey yet, but it's starting to get that sort of, I can tell there's makeup there. It is still clinging to the dry patches around my nose, which that has been happening since this morning. I've also had a runny nose and it's not getting any better, so my crow's feet are a little bit visible at this point, and it's not because there's foundation settling there so much as it is a little bit dry. So I think that is a measure more of that this foundation does dry my skin out just a little bit, and therefore accentuates some of those lines. My under eyes don't look any worse than they did at first application. I thought they looked a little bit dry, and they still look a little bit dry, but they don't look any worse, I don't think. One interesting thing, my pores on this side of my face are very smooth and not very visible, but they are visible again on this side. Now, there's no foundation settled into them. It's just that I feel like on this side of my face, they're actually being blurred a bit. And on this side of the face, they're not being blurred. They're not being accentuated, but they're not being hidden either. I'm overall absolutely shocked that this foundation not only had the coverage that it did, but that it has held up for 9 hours and still it's still there. I mean, this is just not what I expected. I usually put a powder foundation on to start the day, and by the time I get home I don't look like I have anything on my face. It just goes away, and this did not go away. This has stayed. So from a conversational distance, I would say this still looks really decent. From a conversational distance, it looks fine. It's really when I get close up in the 10x mirror that I start picking apart the imperfections, and really they're no worse than they were when the day started. So I would say I will absolutely wear this foundation on a regular basis, particularly on days when I need something quick, I need something easy. I'm not doing a full face. I just need to even things out, feel like I'm a slightly improved version of myself, and get out the door. I'm really impressed. I'm kind of shocked, to tell you the truth. I of course expect Kat Von D products to be good, but powder foundation I just didn't think I could wear. My face is not itchy. I don't feel like I want to rip my skin off, so it didn't dry me out too bad. There's not too many products on the planet that don't dry my skin out. So I think this is a perfectly acceptable level of dryness or not, even if you have very dry skin. Let me zoom you guys in so you can get a closer look at what I'm seeing here. Here is the forehead. This is the area that is looking a little dry. Not too bad, but here's my under eyes. And my nose. My sunspots. That's the dryness of the nose. And my chin. I am going to give the Kat Von D Lock It Powder Foundation an absolutely thumbs up. If you have dry skin and you thought you could not wear a powder foundation, I would recommend trying it out. I'm almost dumbfoundedly shocked. I will definitely continue to wear this, and I'm so glad to have an option that I can get out the door quickly and still feel like my face looks evened out and a bit better than it is without makeup. So this could be a game changer for my sort of everyday routine. I'm pretty excited about this. I do own one other powder foundation that I've never tried to wear on its own, and that's the IT Cosmetics Celebration Foundation, so I'm going to have to consider putting that one to the test as well. But for now, Kat Von D, you're all right with me. Thanks everybody for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate your time. Give me a thumbs up if you want to see more Foundation Fest videos, and please leave me some comments down below if there is a particular foundation that you are interested in me checking out and testing with my pale, dry, over 40 skin, and I would be glad to see if I can get my hands on that and test it out for you guys. So let me know down below. I will link all of the other relevant videos I've mentioned in this video down in the down bar, so check that out as well. Thanks again for stopping by. Have yourselves a wonderful day and take care of each other. Bye-bye.